Hello and thanks for joining us. Here's what's happening right now. Bracing for impact with no trade deal just hours before the deadline.
Not a deal breaker, but we haven't spoken to Canada today.
The taxing anxiety and reaction from both sides of the border.
I'm frankly very proud.
Deeply problematic.
Inside the deep divisions over Canada's policy shift on Palestinian statehood.
All this is like super worrisome for me.
Plus, the high cost as a low-value tariff exemption comes to an end.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Hello, I'm Marcia McMillan in for Sandy today. We are now just hours away from the deadline for a new trade deal with the United States, with no clear sign if we're getting close to one. The months-long roller coaster trade war is down to the wire again. Let's get straight to the latest developments from our reporters in both nations' capitals. CTV's correspondent Joy Malbin is in Washington. Rachel Aiello is in Ottawa, covering both ends of this story live this hour. Let's start with you, Rachel. The clock is ticking. Where do negotiations stand?
Hey, Marcia. So yes, with just hours to go until Donald Trump's deadline comes and passes, according to the U.S. president, he hasn't even spoken to Prime Minister Mark Carney today. So while we don't yet have a clear executive order confirming that Canada is going to be hit with that 35% tariff, all indications are that that is where we're heading. Trump's officials have made it clear today that he wants to keep that August 1st deadline for any country who hasn't reached an agreement with the U.S. yet, and that would include Canada. Trump did just speak at the White House. He said that while he doesn't think Canada recognizing a Palestinian state is a deal breaker, he indicated that the Prime Minister called him today and he didn't pick up the phone. He was then asked what's taking so long, what's the holdup with getting an agreement with Canada, and here's a bit of what he had to say.
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. It's all. It's very simple. They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers, some over 200%, and they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years. And look, we like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada, but they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led, and all we want is fairness for our country.
So, Rachel, are we expecting the government to come out to respond or retaliate in any way today?
Yeah, so I've reached back out to the Prime Minister's office to see what their response would be to the fact that the U.S. President is saying that Carney called him today and he didn't pick up. This is after I'd followed up earlier today to see if the Prime Minister was one of the world leaders who Trump's press secretary said was essentially blowing up his phone trying to find an 11th hour deal. I've not heard back. So as of now, there is no indication that he or Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc, who is in Washington as we speak, plan to speak publicly today, let alone have any indication that Canada is ready to retaliate. But that comes as there is pressure ramping up for the federal government to do so. Take a listen.
Well, I wouldn't roll over, and I've told the Prime Minister, do not roll over, hit that guy back as hard as we possibly can. So premiers have been hoping for at least an agreement to ease what we're knowing as sectoral steel and aluminum tariff issues. So far, we don't know if anything on that front is going to materialize between now and midnight. Marcia?
Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Rachel, thank you for all of that reporting. So let's turn now to Washington. While we wait for news of Canada's deal, the White House is moving ahead with a flurry of deal-making with other countries, including some delays and legal challenges. Joy Malbin, where do we begin?
Well, the president's feeling pretty good, emboldened, in fact, Marcia. He didn't get 90 trade deals in 90 days, but he calls the European Union deal over the weekend the biggest trade deal in American history. He's feeling generous enough to give Mexico a reprieve, another 90 days before his tariffs kick in. Now, he was surrounded by athletes today, flexing his trade muscles and signing an executive order to bring presidential fitness tests back to schools. But his tariffs are being called illegal. In federal court today, lawyers argue that Trump tariffs are an unprecedented power grab and that the president overstepped his authority by using the Emergency Powers Act to slap import duties on just about every country. Now, he brushed off that court question, instead bragging about his deals. Have a listen.
We have made a few deals today that are excellent deals for the country. You know, we're taking in literally trillions of dollars for the country. This is making our country very rich and respected again.
Dozens of countries are still in limbo over Trump's tariffs, and this court case, well, it will likely end up in the Supreme Court. Marcia?
Joy Malbin for us in Washington. Joy, thank you for that. Now, Trump also said today that he didn't like Canada's pledge to recognize Palestinian statehood, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker on trade talks. Beyond just the U.S. president's negative response, Canada's announcement yesterday has received a range of reactions. CTV's Abigail Beeman now on Canada's diplomatic move and the timing of that decision. Abigail.
Marcia, a senior government official tells CTV News the decision was part of a bigger plan where Canada intends to play a bigger role in the Mideast peace process. The government believes there's more our country can do to be more useful. But reaction to Wednesday's decision was swift and divided. News Canada intends to recognize Palestinian statehood lands with hope on the streets of Gaza. This teacher thanks Canada and feels the world is beginning to wake up.
The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable, and it's rapidly deteriorating.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister posted this photo saying Canadian aid is beginning to enter Gaza and thanking Jordan for facilitating an airdrop. Fighting over what falls, Gazans say airdropped food is like a dog chasing a bone. The U.S.'s special envoy landed in Jerusalem, while the president mixed foreign policy and trade, posting in the middle of the night, Canada's decision will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, apostrophe, Canada.
This is just Trump trying to use yet another tactic to put pressure on Canada. And I'm frankly very proud that the Prime Minister and his government made that decision, even though no doubt somebody was telling them that this could impact the trade negotiations.
I think the government is putting the cart before the horse here.
The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs is concerned the government didn't tie its conditions to the release of hostages or the immediate removal of Hamas, worried it will embolden the terrorist group.
Conceivably, we're going to have Canada recognize a Palestinian state where Gaza is still under the control of Hamas, and innocent Israelis are still being held hostages in the terror dungeons of Gaza.
CJA says there is increased concern and fear among the Canadian Jewish community in the wake of the government's decision, fear of even more anti-Jewish hate and attacks. Marcia?
Abigail, thank you. Among the flurry of trade announcements this week, Donald Trump also signed an executive order that ends a tariff loophole, allowing low-cost goods to be imported into the U.S. duty-free. CTV's Genevieve Boschman now on what exactly de minimis means and what it means for Canadian small business.
From her home studio in Montreal, Tamara Bavdag designs unique jewelry.
I work with vintage lace. I make mostly statement pieces.
Works of art, really, that her business, this ilk, ships around the globe, a third to addresses south of the border. Now, the U.S. is scrapping a provision that exempts goods shipped into the U.S., those valued at less than $800 American, from duties or taxes. It's called the de minimis exemption. De minimis, from Latin, meaning lacking significance or importance, so minor as to merit disregard.
Is this part of your vocabulary, like 6 months ago?
So the word wasn't until until Trump started announcing tariffs.
Duties will be calculated based on the IEEPA tariff rate of the country of origin?
The impact of this move isn't clear to all business owners.
Really appreciate it. This is Tamara.
So we called in an expert, Samuel Roscoe from the University of British Columbia.
You know, your $100 shipment would be taxed and dutied at the same rate as a $2,000 shipment, right? So you're basically going to be paying whatever rate that is agreed on between Canada and the United States. I wish I could give you some more good news tomorrow, but unfortunately, I think Trump seems to be making it as difficult as possible to do business with U.S. customers at the moment.
And I think that what I'm really worried about is this logistics, because I'm sending one package at a time to customers. And if I'm filling out a form every time, or I don't even know where I'm supposed to find this form. I don't know if my packages can get stuck.
I pretty much guarantee you there's going to be delays for shipments into the States as a direct result of this. I hope that the message gets across that we do need to support our local Canadian small and medium-sized businesses, and because otherwise you guys are going to really struggle.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
A few answers, but still a lot of questions as to the real-life impact on Canadians. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Hundreds of thousands of Canadians work in forestry, the industry already suffering a major blow. The U.S. is slapping significant new duties on Canadian softwood lumber, which could cost thousands of jobs. CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson has the latest on softwood facing hard times.
As the fresh wood piles up at this BC lumber yard, management is mulling cuts of a different sort.
We're taking it here day by day right now. We're just seeing how our customers are reacting to these unfair duties, and likely it's not going to be good.
Harm Binning says this operation is far from alone, being forced to reassess its future after the U.S. decision to nearly triple anti-dumping duties on Canadian softwood lumber and additional duties expected next week.
35% on lumber going across the line is just ridiculous. There's over 250 small manufacturing family-run companies like us in BC. It's going to kill thousands of jobs.
Potentially raising prices on Canadian product far beyond what their biggest customers are willing to pay.
The wood being sorted and prepped for distribution here in Abbotsford, this is Western red cedar, is destined for countries all over the world, including China, India, and Australia. But most of it, 65%, will be shipped to the U.S.
The U.S. lumber industry is applauding the move to penalize Canadian producers, arguing they engage in predatory pricing and receive unfair government subsidies. Independent processors on this side of the border accuse the Americans of pure greed.
It just seems like a smack in the face again. And it's not just, oh, we may have to slow down for a while and lay some people. It's like, this might be the end of my business.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has indicated solving the softwood conflict is a top priority in trade talks with the U.S., which is offering hope to those in the industry.
This has been going on for decades and decades now. Let's find a way to resolve this.
Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Abbotsford, BC.
There is some good news on the economic front, according to new data from Stats Canada. The numbers show that after GDP declined by 0.1% in both April and May, the economy showed signs of a rebound in June. That's being attributed to strength in the retail sector and wholesale trade. The manufacturing sector, though, is expected to see a decline. Well, the rumor mill is buzzing after a very notable fan was spotted at last night's Katy Perry concert in Montreal. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was spotted in the crowd at the Bell Centre Wednesday night, taking in the pop star's Lifetime's tour stop. It comes just days after the two were seen having dinner at a posh Montreal restaurant. TMZ posting this video of Trudeau and Perry, who recently split from her husband, Orlando Bloom, sharing a meal before going on a stroll, sparking rumors of a summer romance. And pop star Justin Timberlake revealed today on social media he's been diagnosed with Lyme disease, leaving the 44-year-old in, quote, a massive amount of nerve pain and fatigue. Coming up, escaping and returning to the fire zone.
It turned into a panic, and it was just quite overwhelming.
The harsh reality of life in a province ravaged by wildfire. Drifting wildfire smoke forced hundreds of children from attending an outdoor summer event in Winnipeg today.
So this is the first time in an over 10-year period that we've run the event that we've actually had to say we can't do it for everybody's safety.
Organizers had to cancel an annual field games event after haze blanketed Winnipeg and prompted air quality warnings for much of the province. Toronto, meantime, was listed among cities with the worst air quality in the world this morning. Environment Canada has lifted an alert for the city after residual smoke from wildfires in the prairies cleared by the afternoon. As Manitoba struggles to contain a summer of unprecedented wildfires, Winnipeg has been the hub for thousands of evacuees. As some communities farther north get the all clear to go home, others are just arriving. CTV's Alex Carpin now on the latest evacuation order and the reality of life in that province.
The town of Cormorant near the Paw, just the latest community forced to evacuate. The nearly 300 residents left Tuesday, arriving in Winnipeg overnight.
It wasn't a panic, and then it turned into a panic, and then it was just quite overwhelming.
Kathy Ryan and her family are now stranded at one of the city's evacuation centers. Although they are safe in the city, Ryan says she is worried about her property and the pets she had to leave behind.
We got people that are staying back to help fight the fire, so we're kind of relying on them to help us with the pets and looking after our households.
Fire crews also continue to battle an out-of-control wildfire north of the city of Thompson. 2 fires have merged near Leaf Rapids, and crews are desperately trying to save the town. While 170 kilometers east, winds have shifted near Lynn Lake, making things difficult for firefighters, with smoke increasing in the area. As for the town of Snow Lake, council there has extended the state of local emergency for another 30 days.
I think the most thing we can hope for right now would be about 2 days of solid rain to put this thing out, and then we can start thinking about going home.
Meanwhile, people in Titasqueak Cree Nation have been given the word that they are going home for the first time in over 2 months. Residents will begin going home later this week. The community has been dealing with out-of-control wildfires for over 2 months, which have destroyed 7 homes so far.
I feel like a lot of people are glad to be going home,
Including Carleen Anderson-Keeper herself, who has been stranded in Brandon since May 29th.
I had a new job, but then I had to leave. So I'm excited to start my new job. So yes, I'm excited to go home and see my family.
A sentiment shared by Kathy Ryan, who hopes she and her family will be able to follow in Anderson-Keeper's footsteps and return home sooner rather than later. Alex Carpin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Still ahead, a legal fight that's ruffling feathers, why neighbors are speaking out against a stay of execution for these ostriches. Now to British Columbia and Universal Ostrich Farm's efforts to stave off a death sentence. The herd of big birds gaining high-powered support from the Trump administration. The farm's neighbors are breaking their silence in hopes of stopping the momentum. CTV's Judy Trin is in Edgewood, BC, where the fight to save the ostriches is dividing the community.
Can you show me how many of you are worried about your health and safety?
All 26 people in the room raise their hands. Wow. These Edgewood residents, beef producers, retired plumbers and paramedics, bus drivers and barbers are no longer staying quiet. They're angry. Universal Ostrich Farm is defying a cull order by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and they fear the fallout.
I mean, it makes me feel like I'm living next to Chernobyl.
69 birds died during an avian flu outbreak last winter. UOF believes the surviving ostriches are healthy. Since January, the owners have been fighting in court to block the death sentences.
The ostrich farm has had the CFIA on the ropes by having protesters, by having court cases, by having appeals.
A cull will jeopardize the farm's contract with a Japanese scientist to use the ostriches for antibody research. But challenging the rules has collateral effects. Some countries are refusing to buy poultry from BC, while other farmers worry their animals will be infected.
Well, we worry about our prices being knocked down because of the potential of avian flu in cattle.
The influx of strangers who have set up camp to protest are also raising alarms.
Edgewood is not about violence. So when they thought CFIA was coming, they barricaded the side road.
But the owners say their fight isn't just for the birds.
It is for food security, it's for better ways, for getting rid of, changing policy, fixing fractured and flawed systems.
The townspeople aren't convinced. Instead, they're depending on the CFIA to protect them from the ostrich farm.
If it isn't the government's job to regulate and protect these things, then whose job is it?
The culling controversy has dragged on for nearly 8 months. The residents want this matter resolved as soon as possible. But the farm's owners say they are willing to take this matter all the way to the Supreme Court. Judy Trin, CTV News, Edgewood, BC.
All right, thank you, Judy. After the break, a truly golden summer. How Canada's swimming superstar is closing in on history. Canadian swimming superstar Summer McIntosh has won her 3rd gold medal at the World Aquatic Championships in Singapore. The 18-year-old is on a quest to win 5 golds, matching a record set by the legendary Michael Phelps. This morning, swimmers gathered in Toronto poolside to watch the event, and CTV's John Venevali-Rao was there. John.
Marcia, it's being called the Summer of Summer, and once again, the Canadian phenom making a splash in Singapore.
Summer McIntosh looking for gold medal number 3.
As the swimming sensation made her way to the pool, half a world away in her hometown, these young swimmers gathered to watch.
She's in there, she's ready to race, so hoping for the best. I think she'll do well.
And sure enough, McIntosh didn't disappoint.
Look at McIntosh go!
Winning the 200-meter butterfly and missing the world record by just 0.2 of a second. Visibly frustrated by that.
I didn't reach my goal tonight, but happy with the goal, happy with the win, and just gonna keep pushing forward.
McIntosh is looking strong.
Already, she's won 3 golds in individual events and has her sights on scooping up 5 at a single World Swimming Championship, a feat that's only ever been pulled off by megastar Michael Phelps.
Crazy. She's like a literal machine. Pretty cool. Here she comes.
Just last month at the Canadian Swimming Trials in BC, McIntosh set 3 world records. And she's also a 3-time Olympic champion and inspiring the next generation of swimmers.
Her accomplishments are Canadian accomplishments. Like, it means everything to her and everything to us.
Isn't she amazing? If all goes well, she'll try for that next gold on Saturday, competing in the 800-meter freestyle, a highly anticipated event because she'll go up against Katie Ledecky, the current world record holder.
This is going to be like the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup of swimming this summer. This event is going to be epic. It's the one that a lot of people are really looking forward to watching.
And if she wins on Saturday, she'll go for that 5th gold on Sunday, competing in the 400-meter individual medley. Marcia.
John, thank you. That is our newscast. Thanks for being with us. I'm Marcia McMillan. Your local CTV News starts right now.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.